Crowhill here, coming to you from the Royal Oak Tavern in Westerville. Today we're going to review an Imperial Stout and discuss the Trump effect. Hey, good evening, good to see you.
Good evening. How about some beer and conversation?
Oh, that's a great idea. What are we drinking?
This is an Imperial Stout. Comes out once a year from Goose Island.
Goose Island,
it's Bourbon County Stout.
Excellent. So, what's on your mind?
Well, did you see that little bit about Zuckerberg reversing his policy, the Facebook and Instagram's policy on, well, not censorship. They wouldn't call it censorship, but on...
He did call it censorship.
Oh, yeah?
Yeah. So, yes, I did. I saw it on LinkedIn. I saw saw it about it. But first I want to get into this beer. So what do we got?
Well, this thing has been finally aged.
Yes.
Look at this puppy.
This is
2019.
2019.
Hello, hello. It comes out right around Thanksgiving. Sells out pretty quick,
yeah.
And we did a test one time and drank a fresh one,
yeah,
and then drank a 3-year-old,
right?
And boy, aging
it was different.
Helps.
Aging
now
helps.
Does 5 years of aging,
right? Well, we don't have a comparison.
We don't have a comparison, but let's just see what it does. What was your term?
Yeah, lovely smell.
You know, are there diminishing returns? Like maybe 3 is the peak, and it starts to fade or something like that.
That's delicious. You get a lot of molasses notes off of there. This is a strong, thick beer. This is not something you pound down while you're after you play tennis.
No. This is
14.7%.
14.7%. It's the old 1 pint.
Right.
Plus a little bit.
Yeah.
So yes, you don't need a pint.
Yeah.
Yes, this is hopefully you have friends. And if you don't have friends and you share this, you will have one.
Yeah, that's right. So yes, Chesterton has been saving this for us in our vault down here at the Royal Oak, and we thought it was time to break it out because it is New Year's, and it's time to celebrate. So all right, very good. Now, okay, we're not just celebrating the new year. We're celebrating the Trump effect, which kind of harkens back to the pendulum show that we did a while ago.
Exactly. So we asked ourselves, we went through a bunch of woke topics and said, have we hit peak woke? And do you have this feeling that it's swinging back the other way? And I don't know if I was just talking myself into it and just, cherry picking the tiny little battles that are being won while still losing the war.
Yes.
But I think what that pendulum needed was a little push.
Yes.
And it might be called
It just needed somebody to some little boy to stand up and say the emperor has no clothes.
Yes.
But let's start with Meta and Facebook and Zuckerberg, because that's very interesting.
It is very interesting. But what's the term I'm using for? He says we're going to substitute this for community notes.
Yeah, so
fact checkers.
Fact checkers, yeah.
So
mostly, they're still going to have fact checkers, but they're going to move them from California to Texas.
Well, there's your first good move.
That's right.
So they're not going to be. These fact checkers aren't going to be mingling with the bluest of blue people. They will actually be amongst normal people.
Yeah.
And these fact checkers will.
I think just the whole concept of fact checking is just an arrogant, ridiculous thing to say, because they're just one person saying, well, we think you're wrong. One person says this, another person says, we think you're wrong. But they say, oh, but we're fact checkers.
I mean, if you're actually, if it says 8,000 people died in the Civil War.
Yeah.
Then somebody says, well, it's like 600,000. Yeah. So let's correct that.
But that's not what it comes down to. It comes down to opinions.
Yes.
And it's really annoying that they call themselves fact checkers, in my opinion. And in this today on LinkedIn, there was a whole lot of stuff about people complaining about Zuckerberg and what he's doing, because there's a lot of people on LinkedIn, I'm mostly in the publishing world, and they're all big on professional journalism and serious journalism and fact checkers and people responsible and blah blah blah. And I'm like, do you mean these people? Are you talking about these people who've been doing the so-called fact checking for the last several years and have been getting things wrong time and again?
Right. So 2019, Zuckerberg is giving, it was a pretty good speech at Georgetown, talking about these are difficult waters that we're wading into.
Yeah.
Social media, are we a platform? Are we journalists? How much are we responsible for what people say on this?
And there's some ambiguity about
that. And he says, yes, we need to err on the side of freedom.
Yes.
Of freedom of speech. Yes, you can make the argument that this freedom of speech will lead to these negative things, and that could be... Okay, I get that.
Yeah.
Right? I mean, it was a very good speech.
Yeah.
And then Biden administration came in.
Well, COVID happens.
Yes.
Everybody loses their mind.
Yes.
And they're so...
COVID.
Yeah.
Which what happens.
Everybody is so... Like, everybody has to be singing from the same hymnal. Everybody has to be on the same page about vaccines. Vaccines are wonderful. Blah, 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 blah. And I shouldn't say that. I should just say the V word.
No, yeah. And he gets a little knock on his door from the FBI.
Mm-hmm.
And I say, and he's like, I mean, the FBI they're the good guys, right? I mean,
exactly.
They're out there working hard to keep all of us safe.
And if they say this is what they need, well then, okay, maybe it's what they need.
Maybe that's what we need, and maybe it's getting too political, and we're saving lives here. But
it went too far. They implemented a regime of fact-checking based with algorithms that would check what people were posting, and they would pull stuff out based on that.
Right, and so but one thing is to do a community notes thing that says what this person has said is untrue, da 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 da. A different thing is the shadow banning and the reduction of the content. Now, I never go to Facebook anyway. I have one, but I never go there. And I certainly have never... I don't even know where you get your news feed. Is it off to the side or something?
I haven't been on Facebook
all I get
for years,
all I see...
It's just a bunch of stuff there.
No, but all I see is what my friends' vacations are like.
Yeah, except that from what I understand, Mrs. Crowhill is on Facebook a lot. And there's more and more, it's not what your friends are saying. They're showing you all kinds of other stuff. Okay. It's not the friends that you're trying to connect with. It's all this other junk that's getting thrown into your feed.
Does it give you more of what you're looking at?
Well,
you know what I mean? It's like, the idea is that it's going to sort of tailor your... I don't need to see a lot about cricket and rugby.
Yeah.
That's not one of my interests. Right. But if I am that guy, give me some, you know what I mean? So
supposedly that's what TikTok is really good. Now, I've never been on TikTok, and I won't because it's a Chinese spying front. But anyway, supposedly TikTok is just amazing at curating the content that shows up in your feed, that if you like these things, it shows you other things that are really dead on what you like. Right. And Facebook apparently does some of that, but it's a little more politically skewed, and there's a little more, they're trying to nudge you in certain directions and that kind of stuff.
I think what I was getting at was a lot of people get their news from their Facebook feed.
Exactly.
And I've heard that they're like, I mean, even in foreign countries, like 80% of the people go that, if I want to go to the news, I just go to the site of the news.
Right.
While apparently a lot of people get it through.
Yes. Which they should realize they're going into a hermeneutical spiral. They're going deeper and deeper into their own opinion because they like certain things that confirm their prejudices, which means that they get more of those things that confirm their prejudices, which takes them down into a parallel universe. They live in a different world and they see different stuff.
And so what he was doing at the behest of the government was reducing the visibility.
Yes, of various things. Things related to the V word, things related to other stuff that they were saying this was dangerous and bad and whatnot.
But then that bled into political opinion, namely my opponent.
Yes, it did. And the Biden administration was pushing Facebook to downgrade things that were pro-Trump.
Yes.
Which, I mean, obviously that's a violation. I mean, here are these,
it doesn't get any more obvious then.
When I'm on LinkedIn and I see all these people, rah professional journalists, rah fact checkers, I'm like, do you realize what they've been doing? They've been pushing a clearly ideological agenda, which is what Zuckerberg said in his announcement the other day, that it's been way too political, and that's why they're moving it from California to Texas, is because they want to get out of that well of only having liberals doing this work.
Right. Yeah. Now, so that was his 2019 speech at Georgetown.
Yep.
Now and then he was persuaded by the government, and the threat of the FBI and the threat of Dianne Feinstein, and we're gonna regulate you out of business, and it's just straight up threats. The full force of the government. So when I see him coming around back to his 2019 position, I'm sympathetic to. I don't think you unprincipled worm who bent the knee to the. Are you kidding me? When you've got these people knocking on your door?
Yeah. There was a lot of discussion about that on LinkedIn as well. As what are his motives? Was he just kowtowing to Trump? Was he this or that?
Right.
And my reaction was, I really don't care. What I care about is that he's pushed things back towards a culture of free speech. Right. Whether he's doing it to make money, whether he's doing it for any other reason,
exactly.
I don't care.
If he is just going wherever the wind blows, and
the wind happens to be blowing in that direction, okay. Well, at least things are going in that direction.
Blowing in the right direction.
That's right. Yeah. So I'm happy about that. He made some very interesting comments in his discussion of why they're doing this. He admitted that 10 to 20% of posts that are removed by the algorithms are wrong. They shouldn't have been removed. And that's a lot.
So 10 to 20%. Algorithms, is that like a guy named Al and his friends, or who's doing this?
Yeah.
Removing?
So apparently,
hold on. Are they flagging, and this is being followed up by human beings?
No, they're just removing it. They're just saying that content is.
So AI is just on it. It's been unleashed on.
And the Pigweed and Crowhill show has gone into the storied ranks of people who have had content removed, not by Facebook because we're not on Facebook, but YouTube canceled one of our videos because we mentioned the V word.
If I were to pick a show to cancel,
it wouldn't have been that one.
That would have been way down on my list.
Yes.
I can't believe even at peak vaccine panic.
Yes,
that wasn't.
We were more joking than anything anyway. That
wasn't very egregious. I've said way more offensive things than that, and at least if it was peak vaccine, and I'm like, you're still...
Don't say vaccine, just say the V word.
You're still harping about this tired subject, and I made one minor concerned comment, and that's enough for your bots,
It's crazy.
To cancel me?
It's crazy, yeah.
Well, I take it as a badge of honor.
And, as a matter of fact, one of the things I wanted to discuss with you, maybe we can discuss this offline, is maybe we should just tell YouTube to jump in the lake, and because you can now post the entire episode on X.
Huh.
They recently changed it. I can upload the whole thing onto X. Maybe we just say goodbye to YouTube. I don't know.
So since I don't post anything on Facebook, I don't really know what they're talking about in terms of what the kinds of things that would have got you in trouble in Facebook.
Immigration.
Similarly, anything that in Twitter. I was never on Twitter until Musk got it. So as long as I've been there, it's been free speech land.
Yes.
So apparently, if you just said boys can't be girls, that was enough under the old guidelines of Facebook.
So the big categories are the V word, immigration, and gender identity. Those were kind of the big categories. Now, also there was, if you were promoting Donald Trump, you would get downgraded. Right. So it was really just pushing liberal dogma across the entire platform. And, here's the thing. This is the thing that comes up time and time and again, and I really don't understand it. It's like, if you want that level of control, do you want your enemies to have that level of control when they take power? I mean, don't you think that far ahead?
Nope.
They don't.
Nope.
They sort of think, we're in charge, we're going to put these rules in place.
And it will benefit us forever.
Yeah. Like, no. Once the tide turns and the other guys are in charge, do you want them to be doing the same thing to you? Right. It's like, don't you think about this?
Right,
it's unbelievable.
Speaking of tides turning, and the topic of the show.
Yes.
So we're discussing this topic, you and I, and recognize, well, that's a good thing. And the discussion of what was Zuckerberg,
but really it's just one part.
But there is a new wave. There's a new sensation in the air.
Yes.
And it's called, I think of it as the Trump effect.
Yes.
It has made it so that not just this one issue of censorship.
Yeah.
Which is this is at the top. And
This is
should be at the
it's a
top.
very big issue, and it should be
It's
the top.
very big
Yes.
at the top. But there are other things where I'm getting this Emperor's New Clothes.
Yes, absolutely. It's
feeling.
It's as if, I think Tucker Carlson explained it very well when he said the spell has been broken. He used another word,
Yeah.
not broken, but the spell was they convinced us that these are the opinions that polite people have.
Because
that the opinions,
right, this tiny population of the people that rule us
yeah,
are the right thoughts.
Yes.
And when you're in
Anything
polite
else,
company,
yes.
you need to demonstrate
to speak that way.
This
Yes,
is
yeah.
this is the vocabulary
Yes.
and the opinions. And
This is
even
the way
though even though you would go home to your wife and say, a lot of BS, don't you think? But it's like
in polite society, because this is the way the king and the court speaks, and this is the way the people in the elite upper echelon speak, and you must think that way, or else you're a rube and a horrible person. And that spell has been broken, because now we've realized, no, wait a minute, young people are voting for Trump, Hispanics are voting for Trump, blacks are voting for Trump. It's like this whole attitude, this whole image that we've been given is a bunch of baloney. It's simply not true.
And we have what I consider to be, the freedom to speak, which is openly and honestly.
Yes, which should be. That's what America is about.
Of course.
That's what when people came over here for freedom of religion, but it wasn't just freedom of religion. It was freedom of speech. It was freedom to have your own ideas about things, and that's been curtailed, that's been clamped down on, that's been diminished, and it's wrong. And we want the freedom for people to be able to say stupid, ridiculous things.
Yeah. So we've been told that believe all women,
Right.
net zero, ESG. I want to do that. DEI, boys can be girls. Censorship is good.
Yeah.
All of that.
We've been told a bunch of
Any
nonsense.
pushback. You were a bad person, and you also could have the might of the federal government come down on you and lose your job.
Yes. Just the other day, I saw a guy lost his job because he would not join an allyship group, which is some DEI thing.
Is this from 2 years ago?
No, this was like a month ago.
All right, so the pendulum is having a hard time
It's not swinging
getting
all
through
the way.
muck.
Although
But it's swinging.
we have seen some big corporations pushing back against DEI and moving the other way.
Universities are just
Yeah.
dropping the whole thing. They're
Right.
realizing that that they've got 300 employees spending millions of dollars to discriminate.
Yeah.
But because the prevailing opinions combined with the weight and threat of the federal government,
Yeah.
you've between Trump is taking both of those things away.
Yes, and it is mostly Trump, but there are some other people also. There's like that Robbie Starbuck guy.
Oh man,
He's
that
been
guy's
going
done more for DEI.
I know, against DEI. I know, yeah. He's been going around getting Home Depot and
McDonald's and
and
everybody.
all
They're
these
going,
other
I'm
people.
about to do a full-blown expose on your company and its DEI
That's
principle.
right.
Are you cool with that?
Yeah.
Not really. But they're only saying not really, I think, because of the Trump effect. And
Yes.
this is the other one that got me wanting to go down this road is net zero banking alliance down to zero major banks. So there's this idea that going through in the banking industry, the ESG and net zero, you're now going to have your social banking score
Right.
or whatever based on whether or
Yeah.
not you finance oil drilling, whether or
Yeah.
not you have enough, lesbian midgets on
Right.
your...
You can't get a loan for your business because you're not implementing these stupid policies.
Yes,
Right, yeah.
and nobody wanted to do it. Now you have, but you paid a $400,000 salary to your ESG DEI consultant PR person
Yeah.
to go out there and be the face of how committed you are to
Yeah.
this. But you know, back in the boardroom,
Yeah, it's all
nobody
performative.
was on board with
It's all performative BS.
It is performative, and now that Morgan Stanley has jumped off, I mean, once you get the big boys
Yeah.
have jumped ship,
Yeah.
it's only a matter of time before the rest of the rats
Yes.
jump ship,
And that's good. And that's good news. And that's
that
the
is
Trump
great
effect.
news,
Yeah.
and that's Trump effect.
Yes.
I ain't gonna lie to you.
Now there's a lot of other kind of winning going on.
So much winning.
That's like Trump hasn't even taken office yet.
Have you ever seen a president-elect just become the president?
Well, in a case where we don't really have a president.
Well, since we haven't had a president
Yeah.
for
about 3 years. Yeah.
here, and the vice president, I don't know what. I mean, after she lost the election, she did. Have you even seen her? What is she doing?
Yeah. Well, I saw her at the Carter funeral.
Yeah,
where she
looking
was
dour.
She was very upset that Obama and Trump were having a conversation.
Yeah.
You know, I mean,
Real-
she's such a pathetic person.
She
But
is.
yeah.
God.
So
we don't have her.
so let's just go through some of the winning that we're seeing.
I'm all about the winning. Hold on, can I just one more comment?
Yeah.
This is the best.
It is so good.
beer. I feel
amazing.
sorry for the next beer I drink.
Yeah,
because
I know
it will
this
be
is so
such
amazing.
A disappointment.
It's so incredibly good. So we have foreign investments. People are realizing that under Trump, the United States is back. So Softbank Grop has pledged to invest $100 billion in U.S. projects, and sorry, and then in the news event where they're doing this, Trump says, "Hey, how about $200 billion?"
I mean, we're talking the B word here.
He is
The B-
such a character. He is such a character.
And he's like, oh, yeah, that's something we can talk about.
No, come on, I want $200 billion. I'm serious.
Okay,
$200 billion.
Here in front of everybody.
Right, say it $200 billion.
Okay, $200
Yeah,
billion.
and then DAMAC Properties plans to invest at least $20 billion. Adani Group plans to invest $10 billion. So you're seeing this investment coming in because they're realizing now the United States is serious and back to business.
Yeah, you're right. You're not going to get raked over the coals, taxed out of existence, and regulated to the point where you can't do business. That's why this money wasn't coming in,
Right.
under Biden.
And then other people are
What's going on?
saying, Steve Madden, I don't even know who that is, announced that they're going to halt manufacturing in China, or at least curtail it, and move more of the manufacturing back to the United States.
All right, I mean, I'd be happy if they moved it to Mexico, or
Exactly, yeah.
it'd be just not China
Not
for crying out loud.
Well, I'd
Even
like it
India.
back here. I'd like it back here.
Yeah.
But still, yes, not China would be is a first good
Yeah,
step.
you couldn't build a factory in one of those Caribbean nations that are right out there. I'm sure they'd love to have some
Sure,
low-wage jobs.
Exactly. I mean, Mrs. Crowhill and I went to St. Lucia years ago,
Yeah.
and they're poor as dirt. I mean, you could put something there. You could,
Right. You
Let
could
them
take some
make
tennis
t-shirts.
shoes or
Exactly.
tennis rackets or
do
something.
something. It's a nice place to go.
It's
too.
right there.
Yeah. Putin says he's ready to negotiate about this stupid war in Ukraine.
He's done. That's the numbers there are bad.
I know.
Bad.
All these people dying for what?
And these numbers are worse than 10 years in Vietnam, and this has only been 3 years,
Yeah.
right?
Yeah.
Terrible.
It's horrible. It's horrible. Companies we've already mentioned this, reversing course on DEI and ESG. That's great news. Some NATO members have pledged to this is the thing. People always talk about how Europe has this great health care and they do all this. Yeah, because we're paying their defense bills.
Yes.
Let's stop subsidizing Europe.
And
Make
you know
them
what?
pay up
And
their
then-
fair share.
And when they're pressed on this Trump initiative, they're like, yeah, he's right.
He's right. I mean,
they're like, yeah, we kind of been skating by here for a while.
we made a pledge that we'd pay this amount, and we didn't pay
And we
that
didn't.
amount. Yeah.
And
And
so-
Trump is like, cut it out. Yeah.
These are ridiculous. This isn't even trying to rewrite the rules. It's just saying
That is the rule.
you need to commit to the rule.
And the thing that's funny is Trump comes along and says, well, maybe we'll just pull out of NATO. And people are like, their hair is on fire.
So much hair on fire.
Yeah. And it's like, what else are you going to do to get these people to get in line and start paying their fair share? You need to make a credible threat. And like NATO would fall apart if the United States left. So, okay, we're going to leave. and then or you're going to start paying your
Right.
2% or
Right.
whatever.
And
that
CNN
is.
we'll spend 48 hours.
Yeah.
Hair on fire.
Actually,
and,
CNN,
and he'll get the results.
another part of the Trump effect is CNN. They've
Oh, yeah.
announced that they're going to have more hard news and less opinion.
So what they did was they went nothing but opinion with the idea that we are going to affect an election.
Yeah.
Right, which is a kind of a crime, but
Yes.
we're going to do that, and nobody paid attention to you, and you lost the election, your viewership tanked, and you're like, well, maybe that wasn't such a good idea. Maybe we'll actually do news.
MSNBC is up for sale. I think I saw Elon Musk tweet, should I buy MSNBC and
I
put
know.
Tucker Carlson in charge?
That is a Trumpian move.
I know,
That is
it
just
is.
like a poke in the eye.
I know, it's two pokes in the eye. And then the Washington Post has
Yeah.
promised to start moderating
Oh,
there.
yeah.
I mean,
Yeah,
they're
they're laying off people, firing people.
Yeah, we used to call them Pravda on the Potomac years ago. Because that was back when we had the Soviet Union. Now they've just been, liberal nonsense on the Potomac for a long time.
So, all right, so more. Go ahead. Maybe give me some more Trump effect.
Okay, so Hamas and Hezbollah have started to say, hey, maybe we should negotiate.
Yeah, and the
You know?
Houthis are...
Houthis, yeah.
And so this is... We might see some movement on this Trump effect
Yeah,
by him saying, if these hostages aren't released,
yeah,
you don't even want to know.
yeah.
You don't even want to know. Now, of course, some reporter will say, exactly what are your plans?
Yeah.
And he'll say, that's a stupid question.
Yeah.
Because I'm not telling you what my plans are. But what I'm telling you what my goals are.
Yes.
And it's not going to be good for any of these people.
Yes.
And so, again,
I've long felt that a leader, a president, should have an edge of crazy to them. There should just be an edge of, I don't know what that guy's going to do.
what that guy's
Like, if I push him too far, who knows what's going to happen.
100%.
Yeah, there has to be that threat. And Trump obviously has that, where people are like, wait a minute, are you going to send troops into Canada? It's like, of course he's not going to send troops into Canada.
I know.
But
I know. Right. Some idiot was like, "Oh, so I hope you're happy that your sons are going to die in a war in Canada." Really, you took him that seriously? That this is
it's not going to make war on Canada, for heaven's sakes. They're so stupid. So China has been turning down their rhetoric about Taiwan because under Biden, they could do whatever they wanted, but some migrant caravans are turning back, and Mexico is showing signs of helping with stopping this, which they did before. Trudeau is gone in Canada.
Oh my gosh!
What a loser
He was
that
such
guy.
a piece of poop. Anyway, but again, during COVID, he was such a monster that I said, "Oh gosh, thank God, there's an election coming up." He won,
And he won. I couldn't believe it.
my jaw just dropped.
I know.
But so did Whitmer.
My respect
I
for
was like,
Canadians went after that.
yeah, it's like,
Amazing.
You hate your own country, don't you?
Yeah, right.
Well, they took him 4 more years,
Yeah.
or I don't know what.
Yeah.
2 or 3 more
Hey,
years.
actually-
Because they don't have election cycles. They're more like Britain, right?
Yeah.
That's like a vote of confidence, and now we start a new election.
Well, they have to have an election every so often, but they can decide when. It's the whole parliamentary thing is kind of weird. But I was thinking we probably ought to plan a vacation this summer in the Gulf of America.
Gosh, he just pokes and
I know,
pokes and
I know.
pokes. Yes, in one speech we got the 51st state of Canada, the Gulf of America, and
Greenland.
You know what? I think we should buy Greenland.
Which, people talk about it like it's a stupid thing. It actually makes a huge amount of sense to buy Greenland
Yes,
for
but yeah,
strategic
first
reasons.
off, well, you need Denmark to go along with it, and you would also need the whole EU to go along with it. So it's never going to happen. But gosh, it's just so fun because it just exposes them, especially when you get Greenlanders going.
Sure.
Yeah, right. You get 60% of Greenlanders going. Is this a referendum?
I know.
Because
There are fewer people in Greenland than in the city I live in.
But can you imagine? There would be a Trump hotel and there would be ski resort. I mean, can you imagine the amount of tourism that would go on there? The American flag
It would be
waving.
amazing. Yeah.
It would be fantastic.
Yeah, they'd be like sort of like a Viking Disneyland.
But yes, exactly, it'd be so good. Right. So the effect is Trudeau what? So Trudeau, so threatened all these import tariffs.
Yeah.
And he went running down to Mar-a-Lago
and said, "Please, Mr. Trump, please don't do this."
Mr. Trump then came back and then tried to be a tough guy. This is the least tough guy you'll ever see.
Now look at this. Okay, all these things we've talked about, he hasn't even taken office yet.
Unbelievable. I've never seen that a presidential effect take place before you become president.
I know.
In this way. Biden has not been consequential.
No.
Almost ever. Right? There's some people are running in this administration, and these people would have been running it under Harris too.
Yeah.
But we don't know specifically who's calling the shots there, and they're just trying to burn up money and bridges as fast as they can.
Yeah.
But as far as he wasn't considered a president before we decided he was. We all finally agreed that he's mentally deficient.
Yeah.
And with talking about taking up all of the oxygen,
and this whole transition time, he's such a spiteful, bitter, nasty man. He's been doing all these things to try to sabotage the incoming administration in a bunch of different ways.
He's
a piece of crap.
Good old Uncle Joe, he's a jerk.
Yeah.
And a mean old man.
He is.
When doesn't even know what's going on.
Yeah.
Right? Well, a reporter asks a simple question. He says, I've met more world leaders than you could have in your whole GD life.
Yeah, I know.
What has anything to do with the question? What are you doing?
I think a lot of that just has to do with his
mental lashing out.
Because apparently men in nursing homes frequently turn into nasty, bitter old men, and that's what we're seeing in front of us with Biden.
Oh, I got a couple more.
Yeah, go for it.
Winds of change here. Title IX.
Oh yeah, exactly.
So now that again the pendulum was already swinging, but we just needed a man like Trump to give it that extra push.
Yeah.
The whole trans thing is falling apart,
right.
And Title IX was always a disaster.
Yeah, it was a stupid idea from the beginning.
Yeah, just to redefine what a woman is without saying what a woman is.
No, I mean Title IX itself was a stupid idea. The idea that everybody should have to invest as much in women's sports as men's sports, like completely independent of the market. Nobody wants to watch women's sports. I mean, some people do, but
it should be proportionate.
Like this idea that you should have to have equal investment in men's, it's just absurd. So the whole Title IX thing was stupid, but then trying to change it so that it had to do with gender identity.
Right, so not only is a disproportionate amount of money spent on women, now you've got men in the women's sports.
Right.
Now you've just blown the whole...
Exactly.
Even if you agreed with the
point?
Even if you agreed with the premise to begin with.
Right.
You have destroyed it.
Yeah.
And the general transing of the kids. So
Yes.
you're getting more and more states going, we
can't
not doing
do
this.
Right.
We're not doing this. But they're children, and we're not going to rip out their body parts and castrate them for life.
Europe was ahead of us, ahead in the bad sense in starting this, and now they're ahead of us.
They're going, all right, we're not
this is
doing
clearly nonsense. Yeah.
Let me see. What about this? So, what about, will we see a reverse in the J6 narrative?
Oh.
So, this is two parts. One, it wasn't the darkest day in American history,
right.
And according to The View, it was equal to the Holocaust.
Yeah. And
so can we all dispel with that? And that it was, I wouldn't say orchestrated, but facilitated by anti-Trump forces.
Yeah.
That it was permitted to happen. And I mean, will we have an investigation which exposes the J6 committee and reverse this whole...
I don't know. I don't know. So on the one hand, the vast majority of the people who participated in that were just people who were peacefully walking around, looking at the Capitol,
staying within the velvet ropes.
Right, exactly. Yeah. Now, the people who broke windows, who attacked people, send those people to jail. Absolutely. Because they're breaking the law.
But even still, I mean, people punch cops and get probation all the time. I think 4 years. No matter what they did, I think we're done.
The reaction against the January 6th event is really more of kind of the hair on fire left being upset about Trump more than anything else. And it's been ridiculous. Liz Cheney is a despicable human being. Nancy Pelosi is a despicable human
Wait a minute,
being.
she just got the distinguished honor of whatever.
from the brain dead president we have.
I mean, she and George Soros. Boy, that's
Right.
that's
great.
up there.
Yeah. Yeah, so there might be a change in the narrative on January 6th. I don't know. There was a movie that came out recently about it, which I haven't seen.
Well, it's the Babylon Bee movie is what I want to see.
Yeah.
Yes,
Okay.
I do want to see that. Now, will the ripple effect of will the effect ripple through Canada and Europe?
Yes, because Trudeau is resigning, and there's a strong conservative guy in Canada.
That guy
who
he will crush. Now I don't know how this. How do you call for a new election up there? But I guess they'll figure it out. It'll happen soon enough.
And in Europe, we've seen a lot of movement away from the crazy. See, here's the thing: people don't realize that, generally speaking, most populations want the middle. They want peace, they want security, they want stability, they want competence. And when you go too far one way or another, there's a reaction against that. And the Western world, the United States, Canada, Europe, has gone way, way too far to the left. And now there's a reaction, and people are pushing back the other direction. That's just the way it goes.
Right. And I like to call it the Trump effect, but let's not forget the Musk effect.
Yes.
And Europe is acknowledging the Musk effect. They're like, these things would never have seen the light of day if we allowed our country's media, government-controlled media, to determine what the people see.
Yeah.
And the fact that we can now see what's really, that citizen journalists.
Yeah. Yeah. I mean, who thinks that it's a good idea for the government to control the media? That is such a crazy idea. It's such a crazy idea.
Right. The way we need to make sure that the truth gets out.
Right. The truth as defined by the people in power who want to.
How does that work?
Yeah, it's crazy. It's just
all right.
nuts.
So, all right. I am so tired of hearing the most consequential election of my lifetime.
Yes. This might have been it.
No, seriously.
Yeah.
I mean, this might be true.
I think
the
second Obama election was very consequential. The first Obama election was somewhat consequential. The second Obama election was very consequential. But this one is trumps it by quite a bit.
All right, I'm just going to go ahead and say it, and I'll retract it later if I need to. But I'll say it if I get fact checked.
Yeah.
Trump might have saved Western civilization.
Yes, absolutely. Because things were going in such a horrible, ridiculous direction that if we had 4 years of Harris,
a suicidal,
yes.
self-elimination of all Western,
we'd have been going the way. I mean, Europe is in a death spiral, and they are killing themselves with their stupid policies, and the United States was trying to follow suit.
But Trump and Musk have given them the wind and the confidence and the effect that the parties who are not willing to go along with the suicidal West are winning.
Yes.
And now of course there's they've got powerful ways of eliminating their enemies. But
yes, we finally have a little boy standing up and saying the emperor has no clothes.
All right. Well, all right. Let's call it there. The emperor does have clothes.
The new one.
Yes.
Cheers. Thanks so much for listening to Beer and Conversation with Pigweed and Crowhill. Remember to visit us at pigweedandcrowhill.com or send us an email at pigweedshow@gmail.com.